Welcome into the den. It's February 2026, and while the air conditioning is humming here in Adelaide, we are looking at the ice in Milan. Today, we're exploring the privilege of duality, how being a dual citizen of Australia and the USA changes the physics of how I watch the games. From the biomechanics of why Aussie surfers win winter gold to the deep 1980 miracle nostalgia that still makes us cry at the kitchen sink, we're connecting the dots between the sand and the snow. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different. Usually we'll take a big stack of articles, try to make sense of a complex topic, but today we are zooming in on a very specific moment in time.
And a very specific vantage point on the world.
Exactly.
That's right. So it's February 15th, 2026. And depending on when you're listening to this, the Winter Games in Milan are, in full swing or maybe just wrapping up.
The medals are flying, the snow is crisp.
But the source material we're looking at today offers a lens that I honestly hadn't really considered before.
We're looking at a piece called Putting on the Green and Gold by Cricket Fox. Now, I know the name. If you follow the sports podcasting world at all, you've probably come across her work.
Definitely. Cricket Fox is a bit of a media powerhouse. She's the voice behind Fox Den Sports, the Sox Sorority podcast.
Corner Coffee with Cricket.
Right. She's prolific.
She is everywhere. But what makes this deep dive so interesting isn't just her sports knowledge, it's her biography. Cricket is a dual citizen, Australia and the USA.
And in this piece, she argues that having that dual passport, it changes the actual physics of how you watch the Olympics.
It's a fascinating premise.
Yeah, she calls it the privilege of duality. It's not just about having two teams to cheer for, which sounds nice on paper. It's about cultural identity.
Right.
So the piece is really a mission statement on why a country known for deserts and beaches, Australia, is suddenly dominating the slopes and how nostalgia, fuels the way we experience these modern games.
I want to start right there because she makes a claim in the first paragraph that, I have to be honest, it made me laugh out loud.
Okay.
Felt like a bit of a reach.
Yeah.
She calls Australia the kings of the warm weather countries.
It does sound like a participation trophy title, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
You're the best of the places that don't have snow.
Exactly. It sounds like an oxymoron. When I think Australia, I think surfing. I think 100-degree heat. I think
Outback. Red dirt.
I do not think of the Winter Olympics. Is this just national pride talking, or does she have the numbers to back this up?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. I was skeptical, too, but the numbers she pulls are, they're pretty undeniable.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Going into these Milan Games, Australia held 19 Winter Olympic medals. That's 6 gold, 7 silver, and 6 bronze.
Okay, 19 medals.
Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, if we're comparing them to, say, Norway or the U.S.
Or Germany.
That's small potatoes.
True. If you compare them to the global heavyweights, sure. But context is everything here. You have to compare them to their neighbors.
All right, to the Southern Hemisphere.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's look at the neighbors. New Zealand is right there.
Right. And think about New Zealand's geography. It has the Southern Alps. It has massive glaciers. It is objectively a more winter country than Australia.
For sure.
But Australia has more than double New Zealand's medal count, which sits at just 6.
Oof. That's gotta hurt for the Kiwis.
I'm sure there's a massive rivalry there.
Yeah.
But the stat that really clinches the King's title for me, and this is the one that surprised me the most, is this. Australia is the only country in the entire Southern Hemisphere to have ever won a winter gold medal.
Wait, really? The only one?
The only one. Not New Zealand, not Brazil, Argentina, Chile, just Australia.
That is why I would have assumed New Zealand snuck one in there at some point over the last, 100 years.
You think so?
So the question is, why? How is a country that's mostly desert and coastline pulling this off? Fox has a theory she calls surf to snow.
Right. And this is where we get into the biomechanics of it all. This isn't just about grit or, determination. It's about physics.
It's about skills.
Yes. She argues that the secret sauce isn't having the best snowy mountains. It's about the crossover skills from what she calls air culture.
Okay, let's unpack air culture. Because to me, surfing and snowboarding feel very different. One is water, one is frozen water.
One is soft-ish, one is hard-packed ice.
Right.
Think about the sports Australia is historically famous for. Surfing, skateboarding,
BMX.
gymnastics.
Exactly. These are sports that rely entirely on a specific sense called proprioception. Proprioception, that's the body's ability to sense where it is in space, right?
Exactly. It's your internal GPS. It's knowing where your feet are without looking at them. It's the ability of your vestibular system, your inner ear, to handle rotation and inversion.
Ah, I see.
Fox argues that if you can launch a surfboard off the lip of a wave or navigate a half-pipe on a skateboard, you're training your brain to spot a landing while you're upside down.
So the medium doesn't matter. Water, concrete, snow.
The friction changes? Sure. Landing on concrete hurts more than powder, usually.
Usually.
But the physics of the air remain the same. The rotation speed, the tuck, the visual spotting. If you can land a complex aerial maneuver on a skateboard, the transition to a snowboard or freestyle skis is actually quite natural.
You're just trading wheels for a board, but the motor skills are transferable.
That's it. It makes so much sense when you put it that way.
Yeah.
It's not that they're training on snow year-round. It's that they are training their bodies to be comfortable upside down year-round.
That's the key.
Precisely.
Yeah.
In fact, training on a skateboard ramp might even be better because the consequences are higher. It forces a precision that translates beautifully to the snow.
And Fox paints such a vivid picture of this contrast in the article. She describes watching the Winter Games tonight. So the current coverage in 2026, while the air conditioning is humming in Adelaide.
I love that image.
It's such a vibe.
It is. You're sitting there maybe sweating a little bit because it's February, so it's the middle of the Australian summer.
Right. It's probably 40 degrees Celsius outside. The AC is blasting, and on the TV screen, people are bundled up in parkas in Milan.
It really highlights the absurdity and the beauty of that surf-to-snow pipeline. It shows that winter sports dominance isn't just about geography anymore. It's about athleticism.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating about Fox's perspective is that she doesn't just stay in the present with the stats. This dual citizenship means she has deep roots in American sporting history, too.
Right. And watching the games in 2026 triggered a massive wave of nostalgia for her, but specifically American nostalgia.
She takes us back to a very specific kitchen.
The year is 1980.
The Miracle on Ice.
The Miracle on Ice.
Now, we have to pause here because everyone thinks they know this story. It's the ultimate sports movie.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of college kids beat the Soviet juggernaut. Do you believe in miracles? We all know the line.
Even if you weren't born yet, you know the line. It's cultural shorthand.
It really is.
Oh.
But Fox corrects the narrative a little bit, or at least she adds a layer of nuance that most people forget.
Okay.
The game against the Soviets, that happened on a Friday.
Okay.
But that wasn't the gold medal game.
That's true. I always forget that. I think we all collectively Mandela affected ourselves into thinking the buzzer sounded against the Russians and they got the medals.
We did. But it wasn't a final. It was the medal round. They still had to play one more game.
Finland on the Sunday.
Yes, and if they lost to Finland, the win against the Soviets would have been a footnote. They wouldn't have won gold. They might not have even medaled, depending on the points.
So the tension was actually higher on Sunday?
Infinitely higher. Because now they had something to lose. Fox describes standing at her parents' sink, finishing up the Sunday dishes, listening to that final countdown.
And she says that Sunday was when they had to finish the job.
There's something so grounding about that image, doing the dishes while sports history is happening in the background.
And she mentions looking over and seeing her dad crying when the buzzer sounded.
That's the emotional core of it. She says it wasn't just hockey. And for our younger listeners, it's hard to overstate the context here.
Right. It's 1980.
The Cold War is freezing cold. You have the hostage crisis in Iran. You have gas shortages.
Inflation is rampant.
There was a general sense that America was losing its way. Fox argues that for that generation, that Sunday game wasn't about a puck in a net. It was the moment the country felt like it was winning again.
It's powerful stuff. It explains why her dad, who probably didn't cry often, was breaking down at the kitchen sink.
And she ties it back to Al Michaels.
The voice of the miracle.
Exactly.
Hey.
She mentions that Al Michaels is the only reporter invited to the team reunions.
And her explanation for why is just beautiful. She says he wasn't just calling a game. He was narrating a core memory for every family in America.
That phrase, narrating a core memory, that really stuck with me. It elevates the role of the commentator.
It does.
They aren't just telling you who passed the puck. They are framing how you will remember that moment for the rest of your life. Do you believe in miracles? Isn't just a call. It's the caption to the memory.
It's so true. And that brings us right back to the present, because Fox argues that we are seeing that same miracle spirit, that underdog energy, right now in Milan in 2026.
She draws a direct line from 1980 to tonight. She highlights two specific athletes who are embodying that energy. First up, let's talk about Valentina Guselli.
Oh man, this story is crazy. Talk about an 11th hour miracle.
Literally. The source says he was called up just 3 hours before the snowboard big air event.
Can you imagine that? You're probably in the cafeteria eating a bagel, or you're in the stands, and suddenly it's, hey, suit up, you're in the finals.
It's the ultimate put me in, coach moment. He was likely an alternate or moved up due to an injury. And he didn't just participate, he sneaked into the finals against all odds.
But the detail that really ties this whole thing together, and this is where the universe gets poetic, is the trick he threw to clinch it.
The name of the trick, right?
Yeah.
Switchback side 1980.
You can't write that better. He throws a 1980 in 2026, echoing the 1980 miracle on ice.
Almost too perfect.
It is, but for those of us who don't speak snowboard, what exactly is a 1980? I assume it refers to degrees.
It does. It is 5.5 full rotations.
Why the half?
While riding backward, that's the switch part, it is a technically absurd maneuver.
I can't even imagine.
Now, think about the G-force, the disorientation. This goes right back to that air awareness we talked about. To spin your body 5.5 times and spot a landing on an icy slope requires superhuman proprioception.
And he pulls this out with 3 hours notice.
Fox calls it an OMGH moment. Oh my God, heaven, or maybe holy. You can just feel that excitement.
It's that intersection of technical skill and just, I don't know, narrative coincidence that makes the Olympics so special.
It is. And then there's the other moment she highlights. Stephen Bradshaw in the short track.
No, I love short track, but it is pure anxiety to watch.
Short track speed skating is the most chaotic sport on ice. If you've never watched it, imagine Mario Kart, but everyone has knives attached to their feet and they're going 30 miles an hour.
It's chaos. It really is.
Basically. And Fox sets the scene perfectly. Anticipation, doubt, the competitors are surging ahead. It looked like it was over for Bradshaw. He wasn't the favorite.
The heavy hitters were pulling away.
Right, but then the crash.
There's always a crash.
And the source describes it as a stunning turn of events where he emerged as the last man standing.
Last man standing. That implies a wipeout, right? Everyone else goes down.
The text implies a chaotic finish where just staying on your feet was the ultimate victory. In short track, this happens. The leaders get tangled, someone clips a blade, and suddenly 3 people are sliding into the pads.
And Bradshaw.
He glides through the wreckage. He crosses the line to claim gold against all odds.
It's the classic underdog story. The crowd is in awe. You think it's over, and suddenly the guy at the back is holding the flag.
And Fox's point is that these moments, Guselli getting the call up and landing the 1980, Bradshaw surviving the chaos, they trigger the same emotional response as that Sunday in 1980.
It's the thrill of the unexpected. It's not over till it's over.
Right.
And this brings us to the deeper theme of the article, the dual lens. Cricket Fox isn't just observing this as an American or just as an Australian. She's both.
She calls it the privilege of duality.
And I think for a lot of people, we assume dual citizenship might feel split. Like, who do you really support? Do you feel torn when the U.S. plays Australia?
That's the common assumption, that you have to pick a side. But she frames it so differently.
How so?
She says it's a profound connection to 2 places that both feel like home. It's not about splitting your loyalty, it's about doubling your emotion.
So she gets to cheer passionately for both, celebrate both victories.
And share in the challenges of 2 distinct cultures. It's an additive experience, not a subtractive one. She gets the surf-to-snow pride of the Australian underdog dominance, that gritty, have-a-go attitude.
And she gets the deep generational miracle nostalgia of the American side.
It's a richer viewing experience. You're not just watching for one flag. You're watching for the stories that connect you to your identity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. It raises an interesting point about how we define home in a globalized world. For Fox, home isn't a single GPS coordinate. It isn't just where she pays taxes.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling invoked by a hockey game in Lake Placid and a snowboard jump in Milan.
And it's the ability to sit in an air-conditioned room in Adelaide, sweating through a heat wave, and feel a deep personal connection to a sheet of ice on the other side of the planet.
That's the magic of it. It collapses the distance.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we've traveled quite a bit. We've gone from the heat of Adelaide to the kitchens of 1980 to the slopes of Milan in 2026.
We've seen how Australian surf culture accidentally built a winter sports dynasty through biomechanics. And we've looked at how a hockey game became a core memory for a generation struggling through the Cold War.
And we've seen how that spirit lives on in athletes like Valentina Guselli and Stephen Bradshaw.
The takeaway for me is really about what the Olympics actually represent. Fox nails it when she says they are rarely just about sports.
Right. If it was just about sports, we'd just look at a spreadsheet of the results and move on. We wouldn't need the commentary.
Exactly.
Yep.
But it's not about the spreadsheet. It's about the family moments. It's about standing at the kitchen sink. It's about the universal love of the underdog.
Whether that's a team of college kids beating the Soviets or a snowboarder getting a text message 3 hours before the biggest event of his life.
It's about feeling something.
Hmm?
And this source really drives home that whether you are watching from a snowy cabin or a sweltering living room in the Southern Hemisphere, that feeling is universal.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a thought about that Stephen Bradshaw win, The Last Man Standing.
Okay, a provocative one?
We often talk about luck versus skill in sports. Was Bradshaw lucky that the others crashed? Or is staying on your feet when everyone else is falling actually the ultimate skill?
In a world that feels increasingly chaotic, politically, socially, environmentally, I think staying on your feet is maybe the only skill that matters.
Does it matter how you win as long as you cross the line? Or does the chaos make the gold medal shine a little differently? I think based on Cricket Fox's reaction, the chaos is the point.
The chaos is what makes us remember.
I think you're right. We don't remember the easy wins.
We remember the miracles.
That's a great place to leave it. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 2026 Winter Games through the eyes of a dual citizen. We'll catch you on the next one.
Whether it's an 11th hour miracle on a snowboard or just being the last person standing in a chaotic short track race, the Olympics remind us that staying on your feet is the ultimate skill. Thanks for joining me in the den today as we celebrate the green, the gold, the scarlet, and the gray. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay focused and keep those feet flat on the floor. This podcast was produced with the assistance of AI technology. Copyright 2026 Fox 5263 Productions. All rights reserved.